our motto is that we help organizations that do good to nudge positive change through films that hit right into the fields. And it really stems from this one main mission, which is there's a belief that good exists. People don't really see it, and our mission is here. We're here to show it. And we do this by doing a very unconventional way of how we tell stories, because in a lot of ways, a lot of the storytelling is very forced or rigid, or this is what we want to say, this is what we have to say. But we start from a human-centric process. Everything in our approach is a human-centric process, from the way that we do the creative, from the way that we talk to our partners and our clients, from the way that we interview people, from the way that we create the films. And so again, we're storytelling consultants, and we create films, strategic, and we empower community. And really, if we summed up our mission in how we're elevating stories in the UAE, what is it how would you sum it up?
I would say there is immense potential in the UAE. We have an opportunity, and by extension, a responsibility to elevate not just the storyteller's personal taste, but the public's personal taste. That way, when things are just there to be fillers, are rejected from the very beginning. And this takes a holistic approach. It needs to be educated to our peers, it needs to be educated to our viewers, and most importantly, it needs to be educated to our partners, which is why they come to us in the first place, for our expertise.
Yeah, in a nutshell, we're sick and tired, and we think that people are sick and tired of being treated as consumers. We feel that storytelling connects with people on an emotional level, and we feel like we really want to elevate authenticity in the way, in a way that that creates a humanness when we open the windows to unlikely people, groups. And so we feel we have an immense opportunity to do that. And so we're known for a couple of projects that you may know or may not know. We've done the launch of the year 50th film. We've done, if it loads, we've done the UAE Flag Day, where we brought in all the rulers of the Emirates and their families, and we filmed in like a home video style during Flag Day. We did the Year of Sustainability launch film as well. And part of our ethos in what we do, we want to talk about community.
So when we started out kind of breaking down what This Is Good should stand for, we looked at what we were good at, what we understand, which is the film production aspect. We looked at the educational aspect of bringing our years of experience, all our failures basically, to tell people what not to do, into our consultation. And most importantly, to make it a holistic 360 kind of benefit and impact, is our community pillar. Our community pillar is basically knowledge sharing. It's bringing creatives out of their silos. Creativity is a very solo process. It happens in your head. All the achievements and the griefs and the final version 7, all that happens in your head. So we...
Final draft 7.
We endeavored to bring this community together out of a very selfish reason. It is a reason that we found the lack of finding this connection. So we put together a couple of community events, and there's more that's going to be rolling out throughout the year. And this started, I think, maybe a year and a half ago or something. So the first one that we've been kind of consistent with is the Creative Circle. In a nutshell, it's like AA, but for creatives, if you need to vent. We have some people in the audience here who have attended Creative Circle, and I hope that it benefits them as much as it benefits us.
I think the main ethos behind having to have the community pillar in what we do is because we didn't want to become the gatekeepers of authenticity. We want, our dream is that we create that and we help others find their authentic voice so that it ripple effects onto other creatives and clients so that when people look around and they see the work and the beautiful work or the ugly work that's being done, they say, wow, this is good. And that's us. So today, we're going to be screening 2 films just for time's sake so we can allow some time to talk about this. Our recent documentary work is The Way of the Ancestors, and we have 3 episodes, but today we're going to be showing 2 episodes. And so we took these films and we broke it down into different angles. Do you want to talk about what we did with the expo?
So we were approached by the expo team to create an art installation born out of these 3 episodes. Once we screen the films and we talk a little bit about them, it's a very tangible series of films. There's a lot of senses that are involved in it, although you might be experiencing them just through your eyes and your ears. But the idea was to have a triptych of 3 giant screens and taking all 3 films and putting them into one kind of experience where things flow from one to the next and things are complementing each other. I have to say this was possibly one of the most difficult things that we've done.
Whether mind boggle.
Yeah, whether in the edit or just like we literally put 3 different screens up in the edit room and just looked at, does this work? Does this not work? Does the audio work here? Does it not work here? It was a very painful but so much pleasure came out of creating this, and I'm really glad that people are feeling it the way that we kind of hoped that they would. So without no more ados to be furthered, here is the first of these films.
الأولين هم اللي علمونا الإسلام، وأبواننا هم اللي علمونا الاستدامة الصحيحة، هم اللي وصونا لين يوم. طيب تعلمنا منه أشياء واجدة، تعلمنا الصبر والطير ورثناه، ولا نقدر نعيش بدونه. إن احترمته احترمك، أنا أكرمته ما قصر معك، والطير نتخاوى احنا وياه، خوه. تفكير ابواننا في كل شيء يفكر فيه. إذا مثلا في قاعة فيها الصيد متوفر ما نصيد الصيد كله، نصيد اللي نحتاجه، حتى مرات نقصر من اللي نحتاجه. إذا ما اهتميت فيه الطير كيف بيقيض، كيف يغسل، كيف يبدل ريشه. والفترة المقيض هاي ترى أهم من الطير في فترة الموسم. الحياة كذا، الحياة تبي منا كذا، الحياة تبي منا أخذ وعطاء.
حلوة حياتهم أول كانت. نجمة لا تخافين. هم يعتمدون كل شيء على الطبيعة. إذا ما تعود على الطبيعة ما بيقدر يعيش، ما يقدر ياكل، ما عنده شيء. سوق الخروف نحن مستعمدين عليه أشياء وايدة. نسوي منها السلاح، ونسوي منها الجرابات، ونسوي منها الساحة، ونسوي منها الخطام، ونسوي منها السدو، نسدي منه، ما نرمي شيء منه قوي، كله نستعمله الخروف.
شو بدنا؟ شو متعود بدنا ولا لا؟ شو بيبدأ شو بيبدأ؟ ايوه شيك عليه، ايوه. كل ما حس السلوكي ان في الشخص اللي عنده يهتم فيه يعطيه اكثر كصيد، يتعود عليه كصيد، يسمع اوامره بطريقه اكثر، يعني يتجاوب عن صاحبه. جميع الحيوانات بشكل عام اذا بتصيد بنفسها، اذا ما عدا سلوك العرب. هو ما يصيد بنفسه، هو يصيد لصاحبه. الفريسه اللي يصطادها ما ياكل منها، يقدمها لصاحبه، وصاحبه يكافئه بجزء بسيط من هذه الصيدة اللي هو يصيدها.
قال ودرت يا مسعود شرب الشيني في شرب صبرا هيبها بتبيني ما ظني يا راعي المليح اين ايني وان كان ذنن يعلن ينعيني البيض ليس الاول يسالن عيني. هاي تعرف ما تحيات ابوي بركيت الدود يوم العقاب صراحه يوم الباني ما انا احبك واحب هذيك. ليش؟ هاي ناقة محمد ولدي الحين شافتني عندها ايش قالت؟ شوف نعم انا لين اموت وانا في البلد هذه عيشتي، ما اصبر على البوش، ما ارقد عليه، ما يجيني نوم عنه. الناقة مريضة شوف فيها قرادة قردها غسلهن اظن بدول يرب. يوم تشوف ذا العطايا هذه لا كنت زمان الاول يدك عايش على السحر، لازم اطلع يوميا. يوم تطلع لا عاد فيك ضيق ولا فيك هم راح عنك.
تبي؟ حكي تفضل. أقوى؟ إيه تفضل. عليه تطبخ هني يسوي منها اللبن. لبن بعدين يطلع. إيه تفضل.
متى تعلمت تسوي؟
كانت علمتها وانا عمري 4 سنين. 4 سنين بس بيونه. ما عايشين نحن والغنم نذبح منهن لحمهن وصوفهن جاميهن وكل شيء من الغنم.
على الجامي؟
على الجامي. ياكلون مع التمر. تدري قتي قبل؟
لا أكثر مرة كنت صغيرة.
الحين انا نبكي هالنان.
زين في بعض الناس ما يعرفون عن كيف يسوون هالموارد، كيف يطلعون، شو تحسين إنه إذا يوم يخلص البترول أو ما يكون عندنا؟
يوم يخلص البترول بتوقف الحياة بيوقع يردون على هذا، لكنهم اللي ما تعلموا ما بيعرفون، بيتامون ما يعرفون شو يسوون. باكر هذا بينقرض بنعلمكن على كل شيء بشغلتنا، لأن يمكن تبند عليكم البترول ولا شيء بيتردون حياتكم الأول. دائما لو شيء مثلا دايم عندك أنا بتخلى ما بترميه، إذا تحتاج له بتحتاج له بعد قاعد ترميه الحين بالزبالة ما مكود الحين كل شيء مكود الأول ماشي. هذا تميل الحين علمونا جدودنا وأهلنا عشنا صغار على هالشكل.
So that was the first of the series. The title of this film was Man and Animal, The Bond. We'll get into a bit more detail about how we approached this and why we ended up choosing it. So the next film is about palm trees, and as people here call it, the mother of all trees.
في الايام الاوليه نحن نسوي له
ونجيب اللي في ارواحنا ونعدل ارواحنا وهذه الدوره نفس الشيء. مسألة الاستخدام في أشياء كثيرة ما تكون عندنا الحين. الأشياء اللي نحن ورثناها عن جدودنا وعن أهلنا في نفس الوقت نعلمها عيالنا عشان ما تندثر.
الأول يعني ما يعتمدون على شيء، يعتمدون على النخل، منها فراشة ومنها صراريته ومنها المتشهر ومنها الإندال الصغار. النخلة ما يعق شيء منها، الأول الجين ما يعقون شيء، كل شيء عندهم الطبيعة. بعدين استعملوه حق أشياء وايد النخلة. خضوا منها الخوص، خضوا شيء منها الخوص الأخضر وشيء منها الخوص اللي هو القلب وشيء الخوافي. الخوافي لهن يصرفوها. الألوان اللي هو هذا من النيلة وهذا من الرمان، وهذا من الكركم. عليكم السلام، مرحبا بناتي، مرحبا. قربل تعال، تفضل يا قربل بناتي، تعال. بسوي منه سلة، بسوي منه مخرافة، بسوي منه المغطى، بسوي منه السلال الصغار لهن حق الحياة البسيطة، بسوي منه محفظة. شو يسوون؟ يودنون الخوص يومين 3 أيام لين يتغير لونه ويسوونه كصبغة.
الدورة الحين جالسين نولمه ونسوي هذا الدعم، هذا الدعم نستفيد منه في البنيان. في ناس يحتاجون حق بيوتهم والبيت يتكون من اشياء كثيرة. يمكن البنيان مالهم خيار، يمكن بنيان معرشات، يمكن يبقى حق الحوش، يمكن يبقى حق يد يدمون به الدماغ، يمكن يبقى حق مسطح، يبقى حق منامه ينامون عياله فوقها. ونحن الله يطول عمرك عايشين عليها خلاص. مستفيدين
اكيد وظلنا.
في نخل بسيط يخرطونه او مثلا خرم النخله اذكين او 3 يخرطوها، اذا عندهم وايدين ما يخرطوا كل النخل. انزين يوم يخرطونها ويخلصون شيء منه يسوونه يحطونه حسين وشيء منه يستخدمونه تمام، شيء منه يستخدمونه حق الدبس. بعدين يوم يثمر النخل نبتوه، عقب ما ينبتونه. ليش ينبتونه؟ ينبتونه عشان الرطب يطلع زين عندهم. عقب ما ينبتونه خففوه العدو، خففوهن عشان يطلع الرطب والتمر يطلع زين.
الحمد لله رب العالمين نلعب علينا خلاص نحن نعتبرها أول أشجار.
شجر مباركة
ومباركة الحمد لله رب العالمين.
Thank you for watching. So we have a choice to either show you a little bit of what, kind of giving you a little entrance into our journals. We've never done this before. Or take a human-centric approach and listen and ask maybe if you have any questions or how it's landing, or if there's any surprising insights.
Don't be shy now. Okay, so this is where we work. I'm sure a lot of people are aware of what Miro is, but we use it a little bit unconventionally, where we would be in separate places. We won't be talking on the phone or over Zoom or anything, and we just communicate through this brain dump that happens on here. Always, any kind of project that we enter into always begins with one thing, which is listen. What are the questions that we're trying to ask? And we always ask the fundamental question of, what is the impact? What are we actually trying to do here? So when we were approached for this, they asked us to do a documentary. We didn't look at what documentaries are like now. We asked, what does that word mean? We're here to document. We're here to put in front of camera something for posterity. And the moment we realized that, a huge responsibility hit.
But the way that we did it is that with our storytelling approach is that we take a design thinking approach. So we first understand what is the situation, where are we at, what is the problem that we're trying to solve. And one of the problems that we found is that we felt like, one, the traditions of the UAE were not documented in a way that felt like it had reverence. Secondly, what we also noticed is that no one has ever captured the traditional practices of the UAE elders and spun the sustainability piece. So what we did is that we went out and we did some research, and then we went on an island and we spoke to a falconer, and we were trying to do a research with this falconer. It's not the one that was in the film, and we asked him, "What do you think of sustainability?" And he literally said, uncensored, he said sustainability is bullshit. It's a Western mindset that we're now forced to have to take it on and celebrate a whole year about it. And as we kept having this conversation, asking him about his practices and his relationship with the falcon, he started to say, "Well, we don't hunt. We only hunt for what we need. We don't
force the falcons to hunt. We wait until they have their time when they naturally hunt."
Yeah. So in the summer they defeather. So you don't go out hunting in the summer, like you let your falcon rest? Yeah, it's just so that we can, I can keep sustaining my falcon's life.
So slowly but surely, through just asking these questions, both him and us realized that this is how they had to live before.
Yeah.
Sustainability was not just a survival mechanism, it's the only way that they could live in this environment.
It was a way of life. It was basically saying, oh, I didn't realize that that's what sustainability meant. It was a way of living. And so when we came up with the pillars of what we felt was sustainability is, we wanted to change the mindset of the confusion of what sustainability is. So sustainability as a way of life. So it's not just conservation, it's also the way that we're connected to nature. It's not just preservation, but it's also an adaptation towards rhythms and seasons. It's not a forceful mandate, but it's
embracing the rhythms of nature rather than trying to force them to work for you.
It's going with the flow. It's adapting. And so we took. So what we did, because we're wild like that, we took the way that they lived, and then we imprinted it on our process, in our filmmaking process. So we didn't come up with a shot list. We didn't come up with a script.
We didn't go look for experts or people who are always on TV doing this stuff. We literally went knocking on doors. Do you do this? Is this something that your grandparents have taught you? And our process in the filmmaking, we realized really early on that if we didn't feel tactily what they're feeling, we wouldn't be able to express this through what we're filming. So we went out and we went hunting with the falconers, we went hunting with the Dhabi. We went on the boat for a day to see how people went out and fished and came out with empty-handed and felt that hunger. If we as humans didn't authentically feel these things, how can we craft a film that will make people feel it? How will it move people?
We had to learn to experience and be in their shoes. So there were times, our crew, where people were like, don't you think it's a bit too hot to be filming this right now? And it's like,
They did it. They did it.
It is the season. We gotta live it. So we took and imprinted. Some of our big themes was trust and faith. So it's having trust and faith to trust the process that things will show up. A lot of times we showed up and we're like, we know someone's going to show up, someone's going to do this, and there was a lot of faith and trust. This is what the ancestors did as well. Being able to be mindful and to really think about, does this location reflect what's going on? And I think what we did is that we came up with, let's say, our posture. So this is what helped us to have our posture, is that in order for us to tell this film and for it to determine the creative and the shot list and the cinematography and the color and the pace, the first and most foremost thing is that man is small, nature is big. That was the fundamental theme of this film, which led us to the cinematography of having man super small and anything that is related to nature is big or bigger than man. That's why you see all these tiny people and the big, massive nature.
And I will point out that not in any of these films or any of the other films that we're doing, you will find a magic hour, the beautiful golden light that everybody says, oh, you have to film it in golden light. Everything is in the harsh sunlight.
Yeah.
The way that they lived it, the way that we lived it, the way that it should kind of come across.
Yeah, because we're tired of a lot of the films. So most of the films, if you notice, that are being filmed in the UAE because of the seasons and because of the heat and the sun, they shoot it during magic hour. In magic hour, there's a beauty to it.
It has its time.
But it grays everything. We didn't want to be like, what is comfortable for us? We wanted to do what is realistic. Because when you look at the archival photos of the desert, you will always see harsh light. It's always midday. So our shooting window has always been when the sun was like this, never like this. And so that brought out the contrast, the harshness, the colors, it brought out the shadows. It made everything, we wanted it to be felt in a frame when we're showing that this is real. So the people that we're filming were like, why do you have to shoot it in the sunlight? And we're like, that's what you guys did. that's how it was.
Needless to say, this is a completely different approach to documentary filmmaking that a lot of people are used to. And our production team, God bless them, there was a lot of pushback about doing these things in these harsh environments, but it was very important for us as creatives to set the tone for the entire team, not just us, not just going telling people, oh, this is what we need to do. It's bringing people in from the very beginning, making them make sure that they understand what we're trying to do, make sure that this is something that they want to be a part of. There's an impact that's coming out of this, and being a part of it is a collective experience. So if everybody in the collective is not on board, things will falter. So it was a learning curve, but I mean, we've been blessed with honestly one of the best production teams, and shout out to all of them for putting up with us. And
but I think we also are blessed that we explained the process to our client when we did these documentaries. So one of the things that we have implemented in the way that we do these films is that just like our ancestors, we don't force circumstances. We go with the flow and we adapt to circumstances. We've had a lot of situations where the expert that we're trying to film that's supposed to be bringing something didn't bring it.
Or didn't come.
Or we're like, we cannot shoot because the tides are high, and so we have to delay. And it's very, in the film industry, when you're trying to get something done, that is very frustrating because we have learned to have control over narrative. And what we had to remind ourselves time and time again, and I, for one, forget, is that you come to a place where, like, you know what? This is what we're being given. This is how we have to respond to it. And so we move at the pace of trust. We move at the pace of what is given to us, which is ridiculous in the film industry, especially when it's client-based. But luckily, we felt like this posture had a lot of buy-in because the way that we captured something, when we capture something human-centric, because it's not forced, you can tell and you can feel something different than what is forced. And we realized that so much of the traditional practices felt like it was forced.
And true to our base mandate when this started was always question. So we started questioning, what is craft? Is craft your skill set that you've mastered? But we've grown to learn that craft is a mindset. It is not knowing how to use a hammer, it's knowing when to use it. It's knowing when, okay, I don't know how to use a hammer, but I have it in me to go learn how to use it for this need. So that fundamentally, craft as a mindset is what enables us to go out and find human stories so that hopefully humans can relate to them and feel them.
Yeah. And before we get to some Q&A, we have developed a look Bible so that when we're working with teams, they know what we're working with. And this is a bit more of like the how to use the hammer.
This is the hammer part.
Yeah, but we do depend a lot of times like when to use this hammer. And so it's very adaptable. But our biggest mandate is that location is a character in itself.
Location is one of the main characters, correct?
Yeah. It's an absolute character. We get taken by an expert. It's like, let's film the falconry here, and it's like, really though? So we have to be very meticulous about where we want to shoot these locations. Secondly, our second pillar was poetic. What is in the shots that will show whether it's a contrast or a juxtaposition? I mean, just this shot of these goats and their milk in that pot.
So imagine, if you will, you're in August, you're in the desert, you have cameras that are overheating, you have crew that is complaining, you have talent that wants to go home, and what your responsibility is to think about that. How do you get that?
Can you walk 3 kilometers down that way, sir, and just stand and look into the camera?
A lot of the difficulties and challenges get put into perspective once you see the outcome and you see the shot. And in the industry, there's the halal shots, the one shot, two shot, and the one shot. We do not use any of those. Those are off the table when we're filming.
Yeah. And the third pillar that we had is being able to focus on process. So we went from macro and wides and poetic to process, being able to witness process in action. It's full of hands. It's full of details. It's going on a micro level. But the ones that we really, really loved capturing the most is this pillar, is getting real people, not actors, and getting them not in an interview style.
Getting them comfortable to be really who they are.
Yeah. So we capture we distill what is being said in a conversation. So this is our favorite style of filmmaking, is capturing a conversation that tells a story rather than having a sit down and then someone talking. Because when someone's talking, they're already starting to prepare what they want to say. As soon as you just get them into action and get them to do something, the stuff that comes out comes from back here. And it's almost seamless, and it's very pure, and it's uncensored. So, and then the final ones that we really loved is focusing on the photography aspect of it, how the archival photos in the 1950s were. And it was always just standing there, deadpan and looking to the camera.
So when we started doing this, we were like, okay, what are the things that would make these films look like they're documentaries? And the first thing that came to both of our minds simultaneously was, we're 1950s documentarian photographers, black and white, Ilford Delta 3200 in the middle of the desert, and you need a long exposure, so people need to stand there stiff. And there is something human that comes out when somebody's posing, and then they notice that they're posing, and then they need to keep posing, and the camera's still there, and then they drift with their thoughts, and then something happens in their eyes, and that is what we capture. So all the poses that we have, these are maybe 40-second shots, and what we put in there are the last 3 seconds.
And that's it, and that's the way of our ancestors.
So we'd love to hear any kind of insights or questions that come from you guys for the last 5 minutes, and then after that we'll leave you with a couple of tips and tricks of things that worked for us, so it might work for you. So. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. The films are beautiful, and I look forward to seeing them in Osaka. My question has to do with the issues of sustainability. I'm a professor at a university here in UAE, and when we talk to students about traditional crafts and show them what's available on YouTube in terms of instructional videos, me and the students say, I can't live like a Bedouin anymore. I have to live like a modern person. And I'm curious, as you build your repertoire and as you move forward in the future, I'm curious if you have ideas about how you might provide films that actually are not instructional, but demonstrate a lifestyle that has nothing to do with materiality, but has to do with behavior. And that behavior is then situated within the urban context. And I'm wondering if this is possibly in the horizon. I would think that this would be quite important, certainly for the youth, to have a better understanding of taking those traditions that are behavioral based, not material based, and then how does that situate itself within the urban context.
So, I mean, thank you very much for that question. It is one of the things when we did our research and we started crafting these films that started to emerge as an outcome. I'm sorry, at first I didn't catch your name.
My name is Christopher Kaltenbach.
A pleasure to meet you, Christopher. So a big thing that we started getting a lot of feedback on was, oh, we didn't do it exactly this way. It wasn't exactly this way. But there was one thing that definitely resonated, and we were asked to kind of give our insight about this. Was what we realized is it is not about the materiality of it. It is how they thought. It's the mindset. Like for example, the kandura, the Emirati kandura, the tarbush, the thing that hangs in the middle.
Can you guess what it's for?
Does anybody know what that's for? Yes? Please.
Is it to spread the scent of the perfume?
Spread the scent of the perfume.
That's an answer. Anybody else? Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So
it's the Arabic identity.
Okay.
So other people said is to
swat away flies.
Yeah.
But what we found out through research, and was extremely surprising for us, was these are threads that are used in case the kandura gets torn, because they were so poor. People would have 1 or 2 kanduras in a year maximum, so they have to make the best out of it. So if it gets ripped on their journey from Al Ain to Abu Dhabi or Al Ain to Dubai, they have extra threads to sew it. Now, it's not about the length of the tarbush. It's not about how many threads. It's the mindset of, I'm making the best of what I have.
Because that's the natural conversation that's happening here, is accuracy. When we presented these to talk about codifying Emirati identity, a lot of the questions were, that falcon is not the right falcon to falcon with.
But is it about the falcon? It's a mindset that they were born into flowing with nature around them that got them to not just survive, but to thrive. And I think using the materiality or the instructional ways that they did as an example rather than the goal could be definitely something that is used for teaching kids in the future. And I mean, kids is a big part of when we're filming. You know?
We focus group with the kids, and I think the kids are the ones that are most interested in these films by just understanding the mindset and not just like the process. But we definitely see that there's a huge interest in kids. But the biggest comment that we got in Osaka when the films were being filmed in shown in the focus group was not necessarily about how they did things materialistically, but they were surprised that there was a mindset that they had towards connection, towards adaptability, towards flowing with nature that was so surprising, considering the stereotype and the stuff that comes out generally about this region.
I think we have time for one more question, Farah, right? Just one more? Okay, one more question. No?
There's a question. The question is brewing.
Do I just say
Yeah.
that? Okay. So, again, a big fan of your films. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
But something I was really interested in knowing was, when you have, in the creative process, you have that first stage where you come up with the worst ideas, and then you figure out the breakthrough moment. So I'm curious to know, in your creative process, before you found this entire direction, this entire story, what phase to the whole big picture, do you guys have any very bad ideas now that you look back at it? And if you could share with us when, because, otherwise I'm just going to leave here thinking you guys came up with this all together, and I'm just going to...
Oh, every shot was so intentional. We planned every single bit of it. I mean, a lot of people have talked about like this one particular, I think there was 3 of them when they started. It's in there somewhere? Yeah, there it is. They're like, how did you choreograph this? Like, we did not. We did not. No, but we have a philosophy. And our philosophy when it comes to documentary is that we have a direction of what we want to capture. But what we do is that we create something that we call a sandbox. So between this time and that time, we're going to play. But we're going for one thing. But then whatever that shows up, I will say that 90% of the film and the stuff that came out was all magic.
90% of the stuff that made it into the film. There's a lot of other crap.
Yeah.
But
we should do a crappy version, just to show everyone that this was not intentional.
So we are big believers that our failures are crowns to wear. These are the only way we can learn. You can't say if something's good or tasteful until you see the crappy stuff.
But I would also argue, and I would believe that we have a belief that as crafters, we're not alone in the universe when we're creating something. I feel like we are co-inspirers when it comes to creating something. I feel this when we're not recording anything on a camera. As soon as our posture is ready to receive and we turn the camera on, something unplanned shows up. But it shows up because we're ready, because it's kind of like the teacher shows up when the student is ready. And we believe that there's a universal, I call it a creative spirit, that conspires with us and prepares what's ready. I know this is a bit woo-woo.
If you let it.
If you let it. And so we walk into every production this way. We walk with it as crafters, we are co-conspirers with an energy that is beyond us, that is waiting for us if we are ready. Thank you.
And I know Farah is standing. I'm just going to end it on a few kind of things that we kind of noted down throughout the week. Maybe they'll help you. They've helped us. Wake up at 6:45, even if you don't have to. There's magic that befalls you when you have a couple of hours to yourself in the morning. When talking to anyone, if you think you know or understand what they're saying, you don't. When in the bathroom, instead of doom scrolling, watch or read something tasteful. If you feel like you're a bad artist, prove it. Make the bad thing, and then you can improve it. but you can't improve something that's not there. Your first draft will always be your worst. Share your knowledge. Gatekeeping, for lack of any better word I could find, is skibbity. Practice your craft every single day. Create the same thing every day for a week and watch the magic evolve. And last but not least,